Welcome into Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Roger Hoover with you at the Advantage Center at our podcast studio. Now pleased to be joined by Alabama Gymnastics senior Corinne Bunagan as we get ready for some final home meets coming up for her and her Alabama career. And Corinne, it is great to see you. Roll Tide, how are you enjoying this senior campaign with Crimson Tide?
I mean, it's been everything I've dreamed of and more. Being a senior feels kind of surreal. It goes by so fast. I can't even explain, but it's been amazing, especially watching this new class of freshmen come in. We have 6 of them, and they are just lightning in a bottle. I mean, they are an incredible group of girls, and watching them succeed is kind of like a full circle moment. I remember my seniors when I was a freshman, and being able to be in that same position that they were and just leading the younger generation and watching them go through their first season as if it was your first season is just truly special.
And you say it goes by fast. I mean, you're getting ready for Florida coming up this week for the final home regular season meet in Tuscaloosa. Regionals down the road, of course, but just little milestones like that blow your mind that you're starting to get into those finals that you're going to have in your career?
Yeah, I'd say it is blowing my mind. I really haven't processed that this is senior night and that it's like my senior night, but it's been a truly amazing journey. And I try to take every single meet as a first instead of a last. I mean, you're never going to get the same day ever again in your whole life. I mean, what's today? March 5th, 2025. You don't get another March 5th, 2025 ever again. And so I try not to think of it as like the end of a long journey or anything, but it's another meet. It's another day that I won't ever get to have again. So I hope that I just approach it with the same gratitude that I've had throughout this entire journey.
What have you enjoyed about home meets at Coleman Coliseum?
Oh, I mean, the crowd is electric. And especially the past year or two, we've done a lot of marketing and we've tried to bring in the students, the frats. We've brought the student section down. They used to be up in the corner and now they're down a lot closer to us and they stand up while we're doing floor. I think having the whole crowd singing Lily's routine, Dixieland Delight, while she's going and just watching the students get into it, it's been amazing and it's been truly special.
And how about She Said What?
Oh yeah, she said what? She said stick. That's so fun. It's actually a little bit funny sometimes because you can't always see if the person's stuck. And so sometimes people will say, she said what? She said stick. And we're like, she didn't stick, but keep saying it because then maybe the judges will think she did.
That's really good because, again, you guys see every flaw or anything that's not like that in gymnastics. But, the fans, they're just wanting to root on Alabama. And that has become a good rallying cry over the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's been fun.
So that's good. So, again, that's all been coming up during your senior year. What can you tell us about your competition so far this year, the times we've seen you on vault and beam?
Well, vault is something that I did last year. That's my event. I don't know. I've always loved vault. And so it's just been cool to be back in that lineup and, doing what I love. Beam is a new event for me competing. I have never competed beam. No, I've never competed beam since I've been here. And so it's new, but it's so different than vault, which I think is so funny that they're like polar opposites in terms of competition. Vault is very fast and powerful and it's 10 seconds long, and beam is very slow and you think about everything that you're doing and you take deep breaths before you go. And I love the duality of competing both of them. I feel like I really get to enjoy the full spectrum of gymnastics by competing both of them. And so I'd say it's just been a really cool journey. One of the highlights this year was sticking my vault a couple weeks ago when we were up against LSU. Yeah, LSU. And I don't know how many people know, but I had a concussion earlier that week. And so I had just come back literally like the day before and was able to go into competition and just do my best. And I guess my body just knew what to do. And so that was really fun and that was really cool. And to turn around and see my whole team running towards me was a really special moment.
Get the concussion in training earlier in the week? How'd that happen?
Yeah, it was kind of it was just a funny accident. I over-rotated on a vault and just hit my head on something. So nothing too crazy, but
it's good you're able to come back. And with vaults as well, what's that adrenaline rush like? How intense is it during the sprints leading up to when you do the vaults?
I mean, it's pretty intense. I always tell myself before I go, like, you are light and you are floaty. Like, and so whenever I have that adrenaline, I'm like, wow, I'm feeling really light and floaty right now. um, it's really fun. I don't know if I can run that fast without adrenaline. I mean, I obviously make my vaults and stuff in practice, but there is something about in competition when you're running, you literally feel like you're superhuman. You have so much adrenaline pumping through you. You're like, wow, I know this vault is going to be big because you have so much adrenaline pumping through you.
That's so good. And then you mentioned on the beam as well. What's the mindset there? You mentioned the duality of it. You got to be a lot calmer and more graceful in your movements. So, are there any kind of quick thoughts you have in your head when you're on beam?
Yeah, I definitely Luisa Blanco, I'm sure y'all know her. I talked to her about Beam a little bit, and one of the things she told me that really helped her, and that's helped me too, is to take your time on Beam. It's your moment. The whole crowd is watching you for 30 seconds, and so, show off your poses and take a deep breath and just really take in that moment. When you go fast, you tend to not be thinking as much, and so I really have slowed myself down and at the same time to go big and go aggressive on your skills. I feel like a lot of people think beam is such a careful event, and it's really not. We've done these skills for so long, our bodies know how to do it. And when you hold back and you get tight is when you make more mistakes than if you just go big and go for it. And so that's something that's really defined my beam approach this year is taking my time, but going big on my skills.
And so there's some good results for Alabama this year. So that's everything that you're doing as a senior for the Crimson Tide. But now let's back it all the way up. First of all, tell us where you're from.
I am from Ramsey, New Jersey, and I always say that I'm on the border of New Jersey and New York. So I literally like 5-minute drive, and I'm in New York State.
That's very good. So, New Jersey background for you. Were you always interested in a lot of different sports growing up, or gymnastics really pop up as the main one right away?
Yeah, I'd say gymnastics popped up as the main one. My mom said I used to climb furniture as a kid all the time, and she needed somewhere to put that energy towards. So gymnastics was just the obvious next step for me, and I fell in love with it pretty much right away.
So you channeled all that energy there, a lot of tumbling and all that stuff. When did you start to develop some skills and realize this maybe could be a little more serious for you as opposed to just going to the gym, work out some of that energy?
I think I always took gymnastics seriously, probably since I started it. I loved it again as I started, but I'd say I really started to grow into my gymnastics probably around fourth or fifth grade was when I started to take it seriously. Fifth grade is when I started leaving school early to practice more. And I think I was in level 8 at that time. That was the year that I won states in level 8. And my coach was like, hey, you mentioned you wanted to try the elite route. I had just watched the 2012 Olympics with Gabby Douglas and all of them. And I remember feeling so inspired by that and saying, wow, that's something I want to do. And so I'd say around then is when I started really taking gymnastics seriously. I started homeschooling when I was in 6th grade. And again, the rest is history. I think I took it seriously from then on. But I also use the word seriously kind of lightly. It's been a passion of mine. And so it wasn't work. It wasn't a job. It wasn't something I took super seriously. It was something I loved and I had a knack for, but it was something that fulfilled me. So.
And you mentioned homeschooling as well. How'd you kind of structure your day between the schoolwork you had to do and the gymnastics training?
So I didn't do a lot of school, but
you did enough, right? Yeah.
I did enough, yeah. But I would say we had 2-a-day practices. So we'd wake up in the morning and we'd do our 3.5 hour practice. We'd have a break for lunch. I do a little bit of school during that. And then we'd have our second practice, the 3.5 hours. And then I would go home and pretty much just do school the rest of the evening. And again, it was like homeschooling, so it was all online. I would just do little bits of homework wherever I could fit it in. It was very portable. It was completely on my computer. I don't even think I had notebooks. I just took notes on like a Word document. And so again, it was a very not normal schedule. I can't even tell you exactly when I did it, but again, it was like Saturdays, I would just do it whenever I could. Sundays, I'd do a lot of school. And if I was traveling, I'd do it in the airport. It was just random moments I could do it.
Well, I'm sure that helps you really get ready for college too, because that's a pretty similar schedule to what you've gone through here at Alabama, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we miss practice. We miss practice. We miss school Thursdays and Fridays if we have a travel meet. And we miss classes on Fridays sometimes. Once we start getting into postseason with podium trainings and stuff, we're going to be missing even more school. And of course, we are student athletes, so we still have to keep up with that. And the flexibility of having a computer and being able to do school outside of an actual classroom is so, so important when you're an athlete. You still have to be on top of your work. And again, it feels very similar to when I was traveling for elite. But I must say, my workload here slightly less because I'm only doing the classes that I need right now for my degree, as opposed to when I was in middle school, I was doing history, writing, all the things.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you get into the elite gymnastics world, also some international competition. What can you tell us about your time with the Filipino national team and your Filipino heritage?
Yeah, that was really cool experience. My dad was born in the Philippines and he traveled here when he was pretty young. And so getting naturalized as a citizen was very easy for me because he was born there. But it was something that I didn't even know was possible until I was in the elite world and there was a couple other elites that had started to do this training for other countries. And my coach at the time, Craig, was like, "Hey, this might be a cool opportunity for you. Your dad is born in the Philippines. This could probably be an easy thing to do." And so I got naturalized. I went over to the Philippines and competed in their national championships and qualified to their team and stuff. And then they sent me on a few assignments from there. And so one of the biggest ones that was my favorite, I think, was the Asian Games. I always called it the Olympics of Asia because there was a bunch of different sports. And so I roomed in the village with a BMXer and she did like the biking like over the hills and stuff. It was so fun. And I made so many friends. I met some girls from Indonesia and from Malaysia, and I got to compete there. And that was a really awesome experience. I also got to go to Worlds in Qatar a couple months after that. And again, incredible experience. I wouldn't change it for the world, but yeah, it's really cool. Something that I know not a lot of girls had the opportunity to do. My situation was unique again with my Filipino heritage, and so being able to reconnect with my dad's country and also be able to do something that I loved while doing that was awesome.
Yeah. What did you enjoy most about getting to go to the Philippines and just see the culture for yourself, the food, you really take all of it in?
Yeah, I mean, I'd never been to the Philippines. I think it's a 22-hour plane ride, so it is quite the hike. My mom and my dad hadn't been there for a while. I think when my great grandma died was when they had first gone to the Philippines. That was when my mom, the only time she's been to the Philippines. But my Lolo and Lola, they don't, again, it's a 22-hour plane ride. They don't love traveling back there. So having the opportunity to travel back with their granddaughter, I'm sure was really cool for them. And the food there is incredible. We love seafood. Filipino household, seafood is a very big thing. We went to one of the beaches there and went up to a fisherman and was like, "Hey, can we get some shrimp, some lobster, whatever it was?" He went and fished it for us and then brought it back and cooked it right in front of us. That was, to this day, like, I can't eat bad seafood because I know what great seafood tastes like.
Literally caught that day. That didn't get much better.
Yeah. It was great.
So that's really cool. So again, great experiences for you at the elite level, junior gymnastics, and international competition as well. Was college gymnastics really always on your mind while you were kind of climbing up the ranks of gymnastics?
Yeah, it was. I knew I'd always wanted to continue my career into college. I must say, college gymnastics wasn't on my radar until probably around like the later half of middle school. That's when I really started paying attention to college gymnastics. And at that time, there were a few names that like I remember. Oh my gosh. There was one girl from my state that went to Florida and she was just known, Alicia Boren. She was awesome. And I remember that was the first girl that I had watched go from JO to college. And I was like, wow, like she's so cool and I want to do that. And so ever since then, I was like, this is something I want to do. Elite was a very individualized sport. We never really had a big team. I trained with one other girl for the majority of my elite career. And so seeing college gymnastics and how the girls just cheered each other on and competed as a team was something that I really wanted, and something that now that I'm here, is probably my favorite part about college gymnastics.
What did you enjoy about the recruiting process?
Well, my recruiting process is pretty fast. I was recruited before all of the new rules were set in place. So me and I'd say pretty much my whole class, we were recruited in 8th grade, and I committed right before I went into my freshman year of high school. And so it was a pretty fast recruiting process. I just remember having college coaches come to our gym, and then I went on a few visits. And of course, I came to Alabama, fell in love with it. I loved the coaching staff. I loved the girls. I also loved their culture and what they were about. They've always been so big on family and, just pouring into those around you. And so that was something that even at a young age, I knew I wanted in on. But it was pretty fast. Once I was committed, I knew I was locked in, and I knew that I was excited to come here. So again, it was great, but there's a lot more rules now, as they should be. You can't talk to college coaches until right before your junior year of high school, I believe. So the recruiting scene is a lot different than when I was recruited.
Yeah, that's a long time to have that first contact with the coaches and make your commitment, what'd you say, before your freshman year? Or just as freshman year was getting going? So were you staying locked into Alabama gymnastics from that time? Were you watching every Friday night?
Yeah, I've been watching for a very long time, and coming here was so surreal because I had been watching for so long. I know someone who works here, Lexi Graber. I remember when I was visiting, she was a freshman here. And so just being able to see her whole career, and then actually being able to compete with her my freshman year, that was really cool. But I've been locked into Alabama since then. And I remember it was so special to me to watch them grow as a team, and to just know that I made the right choice, and I could just see how much they loved each other through the TV. And I don't know, I was just so excited to be here.
That's really cool. And then how much have you enjoyed? Did you come to the Southeast very much when you were growing up? Had you been to many of these places? And how have you enjoyed kind of traveling around the Southeastern Conference?
I'm from New Jersey, so I definitely am not used to the South. I'd say it was definitely a bit of culture shock coming here, and the y'alls and the Southern accents. That was a little funny to me. I thought that was a rumor that someone made up. I didn't know it was real.
Pretty real, yeah.
But I love it down here. I mean, the warm weather is nice. And the Southeastern Conference specifically is probably the most competitive conference. And I absolutely love being in the SEC. I have 2 club teammates that are also in the SEC. One goes to LSU and one goes to Kentucky. And so we get to compete against each other and see each other at different meets. And again, gymnastics is kind of a small world. So there's a lot of girls that I do know that are within this little community of the SECs. And it's just so fun. The competitive drive, it forces us to be better. And I don't know, I love it. Traveling too, it's so much fun. I always say that's probably the highlight of competing with a team, is being able to travel with a team. Traveling alone with just my parents and stuff in elite was kind of boring. I'd just bring my book, I'd bring my school. But now I'm one of the braiders on the team. So the night before the competition, we all go to someone's room and we'll just braid everyone's hair for the day before. And it's really fun. I love it so much.
That's really good. So those things are taken pretty seriously, the braiding. And then I imagine the Leo selection is also highly talked about all throughout the week.
Yes. The Leo selection is actually a senior thing. Okay. So at the very beginning of the year, Britt will send us a list of all the Leos that we have, the new ones that we have, and the seniors will come together and decide which Leo is for what competition. And so that's definitely something you look forward to as a senior, oh, I get to pick all the sparkly Leos, and you get a little bit of a hand in the deciding what the new Leos are going to look like too. So that's really fun. But yeah.
Do you have a favorite from this year?
Ooh, well, the one we're about to wear this Friday, I don't know if I can say this yet, but we're wearing, it's already been out, so I think I can say
You're
it.
safe, yeah.
It's the necklace Leo, and it's like black on the top and red on the bottom, and it has like a swoop that kind of looks like a necklace. I'd say that's probably one of my favorites, and I mean, that's why we picked it for senior night, so I'm excited.
That's really cool. So fans can take a look at that coming up this Friday. In your career, too, you've seen some changes, coaching staff change. When Ashley Johnston got here, what did you enjoy about getting to know her for the first time and the staff she brought?
Yeah, that was, when did that happen? That was right after my freshman year is when Ashley came, and getting to know her was really cool. I love the way she thinks, and she is very, very intelligent, especially when it comes to gymnastics. I don't know if people know this, but she's a brevet judge. And so she is one out of, I believe it's 16 in the entire country where she judges elite gymnastics. And so getting to know her and just her knowledge of the sport, and she has a really cool perspective on being able to have this fierce and intense side of the sport while also being able to have fun. And I think that's what gymnastics and honestly sports is all about. You know, you join the sport because you love it, and then you rise up the ranks. It becomes really competitive, but to be your best, you have to never lose that love for the sport. And so hearing her philosophy on that was really cool, and honestly connected a few dots of concepts that I had come across in my own career, but she was able to put words to it. And so ever since then, I knew that I wanted in on whatever she was doing, and she's picked her staff accordingly to her own philosophies. So I love them too.
Yeah, she's made things really competitive. We heard so much her first couple of years about the spike ball before all the meets. So did you really enjoy that time? Were you one of the better spike ball players?
I like to think I was a better spike ball player. I would have good days and bad days. My bad days were really bad, and my good days were really good. But we always joke, I have no hand-eye coordination, which is really, you would think, but no, I have no hand-eye coordination. And so it was a learning curve for me. I would be missing the ball and stuff, but I got pretty good at it towards the end, and I would say that was, oh my gosh, that was so fun. We would spend time outside of practice, and we'd go to a random field and just play spike ball, and we just loved it so much. Even Justin and Ross now, they play spike ball with us, and they're pretty good. Justin likes to say he's a 5-star player. You know, some days he's a 4-star player, but you can't tell him I said that.
You won't watch, yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool. And it's kind of the similar philosophy that I was talking about before, is that just like we bring such a competitive energy to things like spike ball, but we're having so much fun doing it. And I like to think that's how we approach our gymnastics.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch. Even when I was broadcasting a few of the events, I'd come early just to watch you guys spike ball a little bit before you started getting warmed up and ready for the routines. Always a good time.
I know we're saying we need to just start a spike ball league, but
I could see it. Hey,
I know.
There's probably some money behind it, so go for it.
I know.
For you as well, how did you get more opportunities on the mat from the time you were a freshman to where you are now? How did you start to work your way into the lineup more?
So I haven't had the easiest college career. I've had a lot of injuries. Coming in my freshman year, I had some really not great ankles. I had an injury when I was in elite. I fractured my ankle and ended up competing the season on it. We didn't really know what was happening with it. And so when I came to college, I had some not great ankles. And I found out that I needed surgery on both of them to reconstruct some of the ligaments in there. They had to remove some floating bone pieces. And so I wasn't sure what my college career was going to look like, honestly, from that point on, because I didn't know how much the surgeries were going to affect me. It's at least like a 4 to 5 month recovery. And so I honestly have just been getting stronger. I had the surgeries. I had the first one on my left ankle right after my freshman year, and then I had the second one after my sophomore year. And I've slowly worked my way into the lineups just through getting the surgeries. My ankles are stable and they're good now, but I think it just took a lot of perspective. I was definitely a little bit burnt out by the time I got to college in gymnastics. COVID had taken me out of gymnastics for 5 months. New Jersey was very strict with their COVID laws. And so I was doing workouts and stuff at home, but gymnasts, we don't take more than like a week off from gymnastics. And so taking that much time off was really hard for me to come back to. And then on top of that, with the surgeries, I definitely struggled a little bit at the beginning, but through the great strength coaching that we have here, I was able to rebuild my strength, and it was just little by little. I took it day by day. I've had a love for the sport, and so I knew what I needed to do, and I just put my head down and worked with the coaches. And I'd say now that I'm a senior, I'm probably the strongest I've ever been, like in my gymnastics. I'm more confident in my gymnastics than I've ever been, and I really couldn't have done it without my team and without the coaches. And again, it was a journey. I've also had some other injuries sprinkled in there that I had to work through. I tore my UCL at the beginning of this year, which a lot of people know that as a baseball injury, but it can happen in gymnastics, football. And so that took me out for a little bit. And I've had some little wrist ligaments that have been torn, stuff like that. So it's definitely been a wild ride, and some of that stuff has kept me out of the lineups a little bit, but I wouldn't change it for the world. That journey means so much to me. And being on the sidelines, I learned so much about gratitude and honestly how much I loved the sport. And it gave me such a cool perspective about like how lucky I am to be doing this. And I don't know. I'd say like this year being in lineups and stuff, it's cool, but it means so much more to me knowing all the stuff that I had to learn before I was able to be there. And so, I don't know. I hope that other people can see that, cuz college, it's hard, but it's so worth it. It is so worth it.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. And who are some of the people that really kept you positive? You mentioned your teammates and coaches, but I imagine family as well, all trying to really help you at those times where you're coming back from injury, couldn't be on the mat like you wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, my family obviously was always there for me. I remember my mom helping me move out of my freshman year dorm. Spoiler alert, I didn't move anything because I was on crutches. And so I would just stick things in boxes, be like, here you go, mom. And she was like, okay, I got it. And so that was definitely it. And I mean, Ashley too, Ashley and Justin, like they never gave up on me. They believed in me the whole time. And they've been with me on this crazy journey. And so again, vault, me and Justin, has a special place in my heart. That was the first event I competed, and that was probably one of the first events that I don't know, I've always loved vault even since I was a kid. That was when I was in my first level 4 competition ever. That was the event I won. So that's like a really cool full circle moment for me. But even like my teammates, my class, Jordan and Lily, they've been there for me. They've seen me go through all of these injuries and they've never left my side. And even I don't know, some upperclassmen too, Ella, Louisa, Kari. I could list so many people. It's been, it takes a village, but I really couldn't have done it without them.
How special has the senior class been?
This senior class has been so special. I mean, we've been through it all together, and I don't know, we're a smaller class, and I really love that. So we've been pretty close since day one, and just seeing everything come together. Again, we're like one of the last classes to be recruited under those old recruiting laws. So we recruited around the same time. And again, we're committed to Bama throughout like the whole 4 years of our high school careers. And so I feel like I've been with Bama for so much longer than just 4 years. And I know they feel the same. And so it's really special to us to just, again, see everything come together, to know that we gave it our all. And again, I don't know. I hope that I just hope that we all get to the end of this year and look back and know that we don't regret anything.
And that's got to make you encouraged for what could be a strong finish to the year. You've seen this team building all throughout the season.
Yeah, definitely. This team is gritty. We have put in the work. And I know we had a few losses and stuff. Fortunately for us, in gymnastics, losses don't matter as much as your score, your total score that goes to your NQS. And so even though we've had some losses, we've had some really good scores too. And I just see this team building. They're in the gym, they're putting in the work, and especially coming off this last win against Arkansas, we're excited and we have so much to give. And again, this young team is hungry. And so I'm ready. I'm excited.
Well, that's certainly good. We mentioned before you are a student athlete, so I got to ask, what's your focus been in the classroom? What could be a career down the road for you once gymnastics is done?
So I graduated in December with my mechanical engineering degree, and I can thank my parents for that. I grew up in a math family. My dad's an engineer and my mom's a math teacher. And so math has always been in my blood, but I've found a love for helping the environment. I am looking to work in nuclear fusion potentially, which is a hopeful energy source. It hasn't actually been done before in a way that can be used, but I I don't know. I always sound so like funny when I talk about this stuff. I could nerd out with Justin all day long about this stuff, but I really love puzzles. I love critical thinking, and so engineering has been so cool for me to just I don't know, it's numbers and it's logic. And I kind of see my gymnastics in the way that I see my engineering. It's like this puzzle solving that I can put together. And so I'm hoping that I can work in this power industry later in my career. But as of right now, I'm still doing more school for it. So this could be like a lot more school. This could be like another 4 years of school, or it could be another 2 years of school. We will see. But
Would you feel like you'd stay connected to gymnastics somehow, whether as a GA or just kind of being around the sport, individual coaching, or are you solely going to focus on school when that time comes?
I'll definitely focus on school, but I will always stay connected to the sport. I mean, I've been watching Alabama every Friday night for how many years
Like
now?
8,
And
9
yeah,
almost, yeah.
in participating in half of those years. So, I mean, I'll still always stay connected to the sport, and especially the girls on the team. Like, again, the freshmen, I've gotten so close to them and seeing them just thrive. I cannot wait to see how their careers unfold too. So, I will definitely stay connected, and I don't really know what the future looks like in terms of that, but I'm open to anything. Again, I love gymnastics and it's been in my life since I was maybe 5 years old. So it will continue to stay in my life, but I'm just not sure what that looks like yet.
Well, you've had a tremendous story up until this point. We know the next story, the next few chapters are going to be really exciting as well, Corinne. So just thank you for the time you've given us today on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Best of luck with senior night and everything coming up for Alabama Gymnastics this year. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Thank you.